Hi, Astrid. Thank you so much for joining me today at the Transformation Evo podcast, where we talk about mental health and overall health. And the focus is usually the metabolic health, and more specifically, the ketogenic diet used as a metabolic therapy, influencing both our mental and overall health. And I am so excited to get to talk to you as someone who has walked the walk, who has personal experience, and who is also very much involved in the field, contributing to research and all the beautiful things that you're up to. Can't wait to dive deeper and hear more about that. And as an intro, I know that you are the co-founder of My Keto Brain, which is an app that's available worldwide at the moment. It offers recipes, and you'll tell us more about all the things that you can do with the app. But you're also an assistant researcher, and you have your own experience with the diet. So first of all, welcome again. And why don't you tell us a little bit about where your journey started? What were you struggling with, so that people can understand a little bit more about why you even got to walk that path?
Yeah, so first, thank you for having me here. I feel very honored. And today I want to tell you a story. It's a story about partial recovery. And it's a story that hopefully is going to continue. And it's a story about hope.
I love that. Tell us all about it.
Okay, yeah. Well, like 25 years ago, I started to study medicine. Like I was a medical student. I had lots of energy. I was a very sportive person. Like I did kickbox workouts. I did karate and everything. And then I started to do a language stay in Canada during my holidays, and I got a bladder infection and got 2 antibiotics because it was a resistant infection. And that's where my health started to deteriorate rapidly, like from 100% energetic and active to I couldn't do anything anymore suddenly. And at this point, I didn't know what was happening to me. I started to have this derealization, depersonalization symptoms. And that was a horrible thing because you don't know what's going on. And I was thinking, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Am I going crazy? So I came back from Canada. I went to my physician and told him about my symptoms. And to that point, nobody told me that the ciprofloxacin I took, it can actually lead to permanent nerve damage, central and peripheral nerve damage. But at that point, I didn't knew anything about it. Also, the physician didn't know anything about it. So I didn't know what was going on with me. And I couldn't do sports anymore. Like I tried to do sports, but I had to lay down afterwards. It was completely, I developed this chronic fatigue. I developed like nerve pain in my arms and my legs. I developed like fasciculations, like the muscle was twitching all the time in my feet and my calves. So really weird. And yeah, so for 3 years, I continued to study medicine in a miserable state. I don't know how I did it. Like 1 year I had to repeat. I had to do the year twice because I failed the exams. And but what could I do? Nobody could help me. The doctors checked my blood. They told me everything is okay with you. There's nothing wrong with you. So I thought, okay, everything is in my head. I have to overcome it. So after 3 years in a miserable state, I developed a psychosis. And then I came into the clinic. I was medicated. I was for 1.5 years in the clinic. Like I was like really suffering. And my diagnosis was paranoid schizophrenia. Mm-hmm. And I was on medication. I was over-medicated in the beginning. So I slept a lot. I had no energy. Like they told me those are the negative symptoms. And so I suffered from the negative symptoms. My, psychotic symptoms went away on medication, but I suffered from the negative symptoms. So that's where I landed in the clinic.
Oh, wow. Wow. What a journey so far.
Yeah. And okay, I suddenly became a little bit better. And then I 1 year later, I stopped all my medications. I couldn't continue my medical studies, so I started to work as a secretary, still having this derealization symptoms. They didn't went away, even on medication. And I worked as a secretary for 3 years, and I got better. And then I thought, okay, let's finish medical school, because only 2 years were missing. So I thought, okay, let's gonna try it. And I restarted medical school, and again had a second psychosis and went back to where I was before, again in the clinic for a year, and again on medication. And yeah, it was horrible. And actually, after the second psychosis, I got a full disability pension. So like the state paid for me a disability pension. I couldn't work normally. I got a protected working place. I had this brain fog. I couldn't concentrate. I was like really, really miserable. So for like 9 years, I was working in this protected working place, like in the background, putting some data in the computer, nothing where you have to think or whatever. Luckily, also during this period, I met my husband, and I had a very loving husband, and he was giving me support and was very supportive. And yeah, so I became a bit better, but I could not imagine that I will ever be able to work normally again. Mm-hmm. So, and then what happened? Yeah, I discovered the ketogenic diet, like by chance. I went into the internet. I think I was Googling brain energy or something, because I thought there's energy missing in my brain. And then I found Chris Palmer, right, who was talking about his patients, schizophrenic patients, getting off medication, getting well. So I tried it, and I got better. I found advertisement on Facebook about a master's degree in mental health and psychology and neuroscience from King's College London. I thought, okay, it was an online master. I could study from home. So I said, okay, let's try. I felt better. I could focus better. So I started studying. Then I met my former study colleague, who already was a psychiatrist, and he knew about keto, and he told me, listen, the University Clinic of Basel, they're doing a study on ketogenic diet and depression. And I was like, okay, so let's write them an email and ask them if I can help them. So actually, they were impressed about my story, how I felt better, and I signed a contract. I started working there as an assistant researcher beneath my studies. Mm-hmm. And I left my protected working place, which was a big step for me. I went into the normal working market. And yeah, but nevertheless, I was much better, like a whole new world. But what I didn't tell the people was that my derealization symptoms were still there. They didn't went away on ketogenic diet. Like I checked my ketone levels. Even when I had high ketone levels, my derealization still came up, especially if I didn't sleep well. And it's making my life very hard, right? And also, I still suffer from chronic fatigue. Like I still can't do much sport. Like I do not weightlifting, like strength training with very low weights. Mm-hmm. I know I do it because I know it's good for my body, and I have to do something, right? It's like I make it like taking a medication. I do strength training, but I suffer, and I'm fatigued, and I'm tired, and I'm so frustrated because I do the ketogenic diet, and still I'm not perfectly well. So now, actually, yesterday I got my last grade from my master. So I finished my master. I have passed the master, and I'm very proud of that.
Oh my gosh! Congratulations! That is a huge milestone.
Yeah, and now the story continues, and at the moment it's like this, that I'm very much on LinkedIn, connecting with people, reading interesting stuff, and I came across this video again, the internet, And it was a young lady with a very rare immunologic disease. And I was Googling it, and I was, holy moly, those are my symptoms. I have those skin rashes. Every time I take a hot shower, I get really red, and I have this, it's called dermographism, like when I stretch myself, I get really red. And I have this neurological symptoms, and it's called mast cell activation syndrome. And I went to my physician, and she said, yes, could be. So I will have an appointment at the university clinics, and will be checked out. And it could be that I only need allergy medication, and my symptoms will go away. So there's hope.
I love hearing that. Wow. Wow. Okay, well, that's a lot. That's a big shift. And I just want to acknowledge you for showing up for yourself. And like, I can sense from what I'm hearing how there's this part of you that never gave up fully and like always wanted, you kind of knew your potential and you wanted to tap back into it despite all the limitations and the way you were feeling, which sounds like not a good place to be. But I also really appreciate your honesty about the limitations, right? Like this diet is so powerful and we're living testaments of it. And we know that it has done wonders for our mental health. And it has really almost transformed our lives in many ways. And yet it's not necessarily the cure-all tool. And that's just the reality of it. And that's important to acknowledge and to be aware of. And also, despite that, I love your commitment to doing whatever is in your power to support your health. And what I'm hearing is you're continuing with strength training, which we know is such an important part of metabolic health. And it can just really help enhance the benefits of the ketogenic diet. Just they work together so well. And again, I'm hearing your spirit of wanting to not giving up, wanting to continue exploring options. How can you support yourself? How can you invest in your health and make it better at whatever possible cost, rather than desperation and being that victim of life where it's just things are happening to us and we have nothing to do about it. I just love that spirit. I think it's very important to have it, and I think you really do. And I just wanted to double click on that, because I think that's where it all starts, right? Like if you have that hope, even your perspective on what may be going on right now with the skin issue, it's so important, especially with people dealing with depression. I think this piece of having hope, wanting to trust that there is something that can be done, that things can get better. So I just love it. Yeah.
Yes, and one message I want to put forward is don't give up on your patients. I mean, if the ketogenic diet is not working, there might be something else wrong. And like, think about all the stuff, like go through all the organ systems with your patient. No doctor has ever asked me about my skin. Like when I was in the clinic, I remember I told the doctor, yeah, I have this weird thing when I scratch myself, it gets really red and it just stays for half an hour. And he was just shrugging his shoulders. So like, don't give up on your patients, and think about, I don't know, like autoimmune disease of the brain or whatever. There's so many things you can still think about. And I think the worst thing is that the doctors, they give up on their patient. Yeah, here, get your psychopharmacologic medication and be quiet. Like doctors, sometimes they get angry or mad at you when you you come into the practice. Yes, yeah, I want to have this checked. I want to have that checked. They get mad at you because, oh no, this patient is like really difficult. And I was a difficult patient, but I think don't give up. And yeah, especially the internet gives so many possibilities today, like to inform yourself, to research things, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that message. And for for practitioners not to give up on themselves, and also for people not to give up on themselves.
Yeah.
And that those practitioners are not willing to work with our needs, then we're more then okay to fire them and find those that are willing to listen and care and all of that. And so I am curious to hear more about the difference in terms of symptoms. Like, can you tell us more about what was it like to be on medications? It sounds like you spent a lot of time in clinics, and that was, from my understanding is that a lot of numbing happens, and yes, some symptoms are not there, but the main mechanism of action is suppression, right? The symptoms are numbed, they are suppressed, so we do not necessarily feel them, but they're not healed. And then what happened when you approached the ketogenic diet? Even maybe tell us in relationship to medication, like were you able to stay on it for a while and potentially approach reducing medications? Were you not able to do that? What was that like for you? And most importantly, how did you feel? What was different on the diet?
Like, I was really lucky because I'm taking olanzapine that is very, very sedating.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always feeling the need to sleep. Like when I was free in the afternoon, I went to sleep. Like for 2 hours, I slept. Or on the weekends, I slept until lunchtime. And with the ketogenic diet, the sedation has like stopped. I don't have the urge to sleep anymore. Like I wake up in the morning, okay, I'm like my body feels like hit by a truck. This is not normal, but like this feeling of sedation, you cannot get out of bed because you're sedated, and this has gone away. So for me, the ketogenic diet has made it better. My antidepressant, I could reduce half of it, so I'm half on the dosage from the antidepressant, because my negative symptoms have become better, like this lethargy, this no drive to do anything, or like I was at the worst point of my life. I had also this emptiness in my head where I felt like simple conversations was so difficult for me because I couldn't keep up the conversation. I didn't know what to talk. And the doctors told me, yeah, this is schizophrenia. Those are the negative symptoms, right? And they're the most hardest to treat. Like you can treat if you hear voices, if you have hallucinations, you get medication, you can treat it. But the negative symptoms, they're so hard to treat. And what I found is that the ketogenic diet helped me with my negative symptoms, which I would be very curious to see some research in that area,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's very promising, because that's my experience as well. And what I'm hearing from others is just the benefits that we get from the diet are oftentimes unavailable through any other medication. There is just not such medication that we have at the moment to treat at the root, to heal, right? Like, yes, suppression, but even in your case, even suppression was not an option. And the ketogenic diet offered relief. And did it happen? How soon did it happen, and to what extent do you consider yourself like really like, I guess, give us more insight in terms of when did it kick in? Were you supposed to be really, really strict with the diet? What mattered in terms of the improvement of those symptoms?
Yeah, so in the beginning, I was on my own. I didn't know how to do keto. So it took me some time to really get into ketosis, right? So I did everything wrong. I didn't eat enough fat. I ate too much protein, and I did all those. So like it took me like half a year to really feel the benefit of the ketogenic diet. Maybe it also took so long because somehow it might be that I'm very inflamed in my body, and the anti-inflammatory effect had to work and took a little bit longer. And what also was remarkable, like before I had this unexplainable gastrointestinal symptoms where I was like also desperate, and I tried the FODMAP diet, I tried everything, and nothing worked. And the ketogenic diet has completely resolved that. Like everything has become normal again. And so, but I think like even after 2 weeks, intuitively, I knew I'm on the right track. Like my body somehow felt, yeah, this is it, go on. And I need to have high ketone levels, like 1.5 is good for me. Or in the beginning, I needed higher ketone levels. Now, even when I'm 0.9 or so, I still feel good. But when I'm below that, like if I have only 0.5, 0.6, I feel symptoms coming back, like foggy head or, yeah, like I had this derealization, I still have it. But on top of that, I had a foggy head also. And the fog has cleared. So my brain fog is away. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Some major improvements there.
Yeah, it's before I would not have been able to study. Like I started my studies before the ketogenic diets, like 2 months before the ketogenic. I had to do the English test to pass an English test for this King's College University. And I remember I had trouble in understanding what I was reading. Like and not because of the English language, but because I couldn't focus. And luckily, like 2 months later, I started with a ketogenic diet, and I have so much improved. Like the reading was better, and I could focus better. And yeah.
Yeah, same here. I just felt like I never get tired of explaining and reiterating on the cognition improvement piece, that clarity and ability for my brain to do its job like never before. I really never tapped into that potential of mine. I was not aware of it, even though like I haven't had like super bad brain fog before I started like really binge eating and eating super high processed, high carb foods. That made it really worse. So it was very easy to detect. Like before that, I was still doing well, but I just didn't know how much better I could do, which became apparent to me while on the diet. It's just that clarity of mind, the memory, the speed of processing, remembering things with ease. Like there was no work to do. Like I didn't have to push myself or work hard. My brain was working like never before. That I always refer to that state as 10 out of 10 in terms of cognition, like just that sharpness and memory at its best. It's so profound. And I think anyone, even not necessarily treating mental health, can utilize that. To me, it's a biohacking effect. Like we just get to think clearer for those of us that have issues with brain energy and potentially insulin resistance and inflammation in the brain. It's magic. It feels just magical, honestly. So,
Yeah, it is. And also the effect on the mitochondria, right? Like it's a healing diet. It's healing your mitochondria. And I think the longer you do it, the more your body gets healed. So even if you still have symptoms after a year, you can continue. And maybe like Chris Palmer says, it takes like 2 to 5 years to heal from psychiatric disease. That's the latest thing I heard. And yeah, it's like you have this hope that it will get better. Like when you're on medication, they're fighting the symptoms, but not the origin of the disease. So yeah, that's a whole new level, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in terms of some challenges, you mentioned it took you about 6 months to get to the right ratios, and maybe we can hear about what your regimen looks like today in terms of what foods you eat. But I'm more curious about this process of trial and error. I know we all kind of started there. Some people were able to get assistance, professional assistance, and avoid that, our own mistakes. But for those who are not able, what was that process for you? What did you learn? And like you mentioned that you were doing higher protein. Were you tracking at that time? And like, how did you figure it out? I guess, what were the main takeaways and biggest challenges throughout that process of learning what works for you? Were you reflecting on how you felt, or were you the numbers?
Like first of all, you have the problem that your physician will think you're crazy when you say you want to do that. So she doesn't want to make this prescription for a nutritionist. So I think I had to pay it for myself in the beginning. I had one appointment with a nutritionist, and she also she gave me like recipes, and I was like, yeah, okay, but they're not my individualized macros, so I don't know how do I count carbs with the recipes. It was so complicated, and I was looking for an app, right? And then I found like keto diet apps. So I started with an app, and like they had 1 spoon of olive oil or so. And so that was not optimal, but still I was losing weight. And because of that, maybe I got into ketosis. So that's how I decided to make my own app, because I couldn't find anything good on the market. And then I decided to do my app. But like tracking is important for keto. Yeah, when I started to measure my ketones, I really had to combine it with tracking, and I think I used Chronometer at the end. Somebody told me about it, and I was just tracking everything I did. But I ended up like always eating the same food. Like I knew I'm going to eat steak and salad and my avocado smoothie in the morning, and then I'm in ketosis. So I always ate the same food. And yeah, so like my app is like really cool, because I use it for myself, and now I'm eating much more a variety of foods because I can track whole recipes with my app. And yeah, so the problem is that in Switzerland, keto is not known yet. I think in USA, you are much more progressed with that. But I think the nutritionist where I went to, she's maybe the only one in Switzerland. Like I Googled it, she was the only one I could find. And fortunately, she was in Basel where I lived. But it's when you talk to normal nutritionists, they're like, oh, you're gonna hurt your bones will deteriorate, or you're doing stress on your kidneys, or all this stuff. And they don't, or yeah, you're eating so much saturated fat, the classics. And so we need more people that are educated in this matter. And I hope that we're going to have like a health revolution with the word spreading, like when all the studies will come out, right? Like maybe in 1 or 2 years, all the results will be there, and the word will spread, and hopefully our health system will react to that.
Yeah, that's why we're here today. That's why we want to talk about it and speak of our own experiences, because if we're waiting for the science to catch up and all those revolutions to really come to place, it's a process. And I feel like a lot of people have come to a point where they don't have the time. They are desperate for solution, and they are willing to listen to lived experiences and just relate to that and determine for themselves what amount they're ready to take on, maybe implement this. And while you were doing it, were you super strict with it, or were you able to get on and off of it?
No, because I realized my symptoms are coming back when my ketones went down. So I'm really strict on it because I feel the benefits. So I'm motivated. And it's hard in the beginning when you can't eat dessert anymore. All your friends are eating dessert, or you go to a cafe, you can order that piece of cake. So it takes some time to get used to it. But now I do not even miss the sweets, and even sweetener. In the beginning, I was using sweetener, and I don't use sweetener anymore. I don't need it. I'm so happy with a real nice piece of steak. So I don't miss anything. And yeah, and you always find solutions. Even when you go out to eat out in a restaurant, you always find a solution, like a salad with some eggs, or it's possible. It's absolutely doable.
I love that. And I cannot agree more with you on that. I feel like it really takes a good level of rock bottom or like really struggling to be able to really want this to work, right? And like to not excuse yourself for not doing it, because if you're struggling with depression or anxiety or the issues that you're talking about, you just want to get help, right? And giving up a cake compared to the impact that this diet has on your overall well-being, on your ability to sleep, on the mood improvement, the energy levels, like the cognition, those are huge. It just becomes irrelevant. It really is like a joke. Of course I'm going to give up the cake, right? Like I'm I'm gaining control over my life here with this treatment. So it's just not even adequate to compare the things that you're giving up. And the other thing I think you are talking about there is that our taste buds change so significantly with time that we, first of all, lose the cravings. And second of all, we start enjoying fat even more. I've read a research on the topic that with time, our brain can be trained to enjoy and react to fat similarly to carbs, which is quite amazing. And I've lived that. And I always tell people, if you are motivated enough, you don't need to, if you feel like you're getting more out of it than what you're giving up, it's not even an issue. Going out, I can totally go out unlimited, almost any cuisine. Very rarely I had issues, but I'm not afraid to talk about my dietary needs, or just ask for even just a steak with some melted butter if nothing else is available. Or yeah. And with all that being said, have you also utilized some other strategies to support that? And I guess for me was that keto is that foundational piece, but then I also was able to really take full advantage of it by adding fasting and working out and meditation, stress management, finding more purpose in life. What was that like for you? And are you at a stage where you can add more to it, or what is it?
Yeah, like from the nutrition point of view, I added MCT oil.
Mm-hmm.
This helped me to reach higher levels. And like I said, I really struggle to do strength training, but I do it because I know it's doing my body good. So I do it even if I don't feel like. And then spirituality, like I'm really grounded in my Christian faith, and this helped me also to overcome all this difficult situation. And there's this message of hope, and yeah, that's what helped me actually most in my life. Yeah. And I think it's important to be grounded, also to surround yourself with the right people that are supporting you, with loving people, where you don't have to wear like a mask. Like when you always have to hide that you don't feel very well, it's so stressful, right? So also those years where I was working in a protected working place, it was very relaxing because you didn't have to hide. When you had a bad day, you had a bad day. You didn't have to smile all the time. And people knew it. Okay, she has this, and they accepted you as you are. So yeah, I think, and even if you're not working in a protected working place, I mean, we have to start our society to be more, I don't know, merciful, or just we can't always be perform at our best. We can't always smile. We can't always be happy. It's a normal part of life that we're struggling, that we're sad sometimes, and we shouldn't put that pressure, with this all biohacking and to become better and even more better. We have to put that stress away. Yeah, if you know what I mean.
I absolutely know what you mean, and I cannot agree more with you on that. And I think a lot of people struggle with that piece, especially me as someone who has had the diagnosis of bipolar. That's usually the extremes, right? Like either too good or too bad, and finding that balance and acknowledging that it's always going to be ups and downs. There is no way that you can only be in one on the good side and like smiling, or that sense of pretending or like hiding your real state and emotions is just exhausting, and it's not helpful, and I think it adds to our suffering tremendously. But also a lot of people start with that perfectionism in terms of the diet, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts about how do you maintain it in a way where, of course, we can never be perfect all the time, and especially ketosis is such a not fragile, but it's I never found the right word for that, but it can be impacted by so many different things, like sickness or stress levels, or a night of not getting a good sleep. Like even if you do the diet precisely and strictly, you can still get lower levels. And How do you manage that sort of disappointment there?
Yeah, don't get disappointed. I mean, just try your best. You cannot do more than your best, okay? And like I have a friend, she has like got a diagnosis of breast cancer, and then she asked me about a ketogenic diet, and I tried to help her. And like she cooked those ketogenic meals, and I told her in the beginning, don't track, just cook ketogenic meals. Even if you leave the sugar away, that's already a lot of good things that you're doing for your body. And yeah, she has lost like 6 kilos, and I'm sure it helps her body. But she wrote me an SMS lately and said, I'm so frustrated because I'm not getting into ketosis. I'm like 0.5 was like the maximum. And I told her, listen, don't get stressed. Like, you're doing your best. Like, before she was eating really a lot of sugar, a lot of carbohydrates, and now she has changed her food and she's doing her best. And I'm sure it helps her body anyway. Like, even if you're not in high ketosis, you're helping your body tremendously, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in terms of fasting, have you used that as well to support your levels?
I think I'm not stable enough or not well enough. I tried fasting before Easter, like with a group, and like after 3 days, my husband told me, Astrid, you're looking miserable. Please eat something. And then I was, yeah, I'm feeling miserable. Fasting is nothing for me. Like I did also intermittent fasting before I did keto. I was doing intermittent fasting. I lost some weight, but yeah, for me being in ketosis is enough. I don't have to fast for that. I find it enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And what is a day in terms of meals on keto that is sufficient for you to reach your optimal level and feel at your best? How many times do you eat, and maybe what are the meals for the most part?
Well, in the morning at the moment, I'm always having my porridge out of flaxseed meal and hemp seeds, and then I have lunch and dinner, and depends on my time, right? Sometimes it's just a salad and some smoked salmon. Sometimes I really cook something like like you can make a really nice Arab dish like couscous with cauliflower, with grated cauliflower as a basis. So it depends on my time, but I eat 3 times a day, and sometimes I'm snacking on cheese. I couldn't stop that. Like I'm merciful on myself because I know I shouldn't snack, also because of my weight. I'm taking olanzapine, which is I'm always fighting against my weight. I know not snacking would help, but sometimes I have to eat a piece of cheese. It's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you are not criticizing yourself, and just, again, you're doing your best, right? And
Yes, exactly.
are on the right track. Like, just by the way you look and you sound, like you're really at a so much better place, and even there's so much hope for the future.
Yes.
What do you expect in future? How do you see this like, how do you see keto as part of your life moving forward?
Yeah, I will stay on keto. I have so many benefits. Maybe on a later point of my life, I will start to reintroduce more carbs and see how I feel. But at the moment, I'm still having symptoms, so I will stay on keto because I know it heals my body. And my career will now really depend, when those allergy medication will help me, and I get rid of that depersonalization or whatever my neurological symptoms. I would like to do a PhD or like do a scientific career. Like I think I'm from my personality, I'm a scientist. I'm always curious. I want to know why and dig deeper. But it depends, because if those symptoms stay, I will just work in administration, like look for a. But before keto, I would never have imagined that I can go back to the normal working market. So that's always a progress. Even if I end as a secretary or whatever, that's already a huge. how can I say, step in my life. So either a scientific career, or I'll just be a simple secretary. I'll see. Depends.
Yeah, I love having an open mind, but also acknowledging your progress. That's such a huge win. Honestly, not that many people are able to get where you are, and also having the initiative to help others through kind of what you went through. You are the co-founder of My Keto Brain. Tell us about this journey and your hopes and the purpose of the app and how it can benefit people who may be interested in using it.
Yeah, at the moment, it's just a simple app. Like you can track everything, like recipes and single food items. But like the vision of this would be that we can hire nutritionists, that we can do counseling over the app or our platform, that we can deliver food plans to clinics or epilepsy clinics. Like we have a bigger vision for our app, but at the moment we don't have enough money. So we are still in the process of looking if we find an investor. We tried some things. Until now we haven't found an investor, but if I don't know, somebody watches this video and has the vision to make people healthy by the ketogenic diet, yeah, we are here. We are waiting for an investor. But anyhow, we'll see. I think the app maybe in 1 or 2 years, a lot of people will download this app, or there are also other apps out there. I don't mind as long as people find something that helps them. I mean, Nicole Laurent is doing such an amazing work and giving counseling for people that don't have a lot of money. They have like a fund or something. Those are amazing things. And like the keto community is so helpful, and there's so many idealistic people out there that want to help, that want to change the system. And like, if you want to find help, you can find help, and you will find help.
I agree. Yeah. What are some of the most helpful resources that you have found for yourself and that you may recommend others to try?
Resources. Yeah, just start with recipes on the internet. Like change your cooking style, or start to cook. A lot of people don't cook. Like you can start with simple salad with some cheese, or if you don't have the time. Yeah, I mean, the internet is so helpful. Just you can learn so much just by simply browsing the internet. And then educate your family. Like I had to educate the family of my husband. We are going to Algeria every year, and they're eating couscous and like French fries. They're eating a lot of French fries and stuff. And I had to educate them, tell them, listen, you have to cook differently for me. And they're doing it. Like people, they want to help. If they know you well, they want to help you, and you just have to ask.
Yeah.
And I've been to the Keto Life conference. So for scientists or medical doctors, go to those conferences. You learn so much. You connect with other scientists, other medical doctors, and yeah, books. Read books. Watch healing, like this video. Watch healing stories. This will motivate you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it all starts, for me, it's a fine balance between the science and like having that sense of, okay, I'm on the right track and it's science proved and backed up properly, but also those living proofs, people just that we can relate to, that we can get inspiration from, is what I think really helps in that initial stage until you stabilize and start feeling a little bit better. So then you can turn to the science and kind of add additional layer of security, because there is a lot of science at this point. I feel like we can be quite comfortable with the level of how much that is medically approved, especially the background of ketogenic diet application in epilepsy, right? We have over 100 years, and we have our amazing leaders in that movement, like Chris Palmer and Dr. Georgia Eid and Shibani Sethi, and more people really standing up for this and applying it with their clients, achieving great success. So I think this movement of the metabolic psychiatry has reached quite of a milestone where it's really gonna only grow exponentially moving forward. And we're doing our piece of share, just talking about our personal lived experiences, but that can be very valuable, and that's my hope with this type of work in this channel. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Astrid. Anything else that you feel like you want to add that we missed, or
It's the message: never give up. Don't give up. There's always hope, and there's always a solution. Yeah.
I love it. And I love that you're saying it from your own heart and like your own experience. You are such a great proof that going through the hardest you don't have to stay there, right? There is always a way out if you really are willing to not give up and keep going. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And we'll share information about your for the website of the app in the notes, and maybe your LinkedIn account as well if people want to reach out. Any other place that you're at?
No, just Facebook and Instagram, but I think LinkedIn is okay.
Place.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Astrid. It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, Danica. Bye-bye.
Bye.